Hi, same disclaimer as my previous guides. This is very much a machinist guide, but some of the tips are universal. There are extra resources in the description if you are not a machinist. On the first few floors we have the Dhamels, or giraffes. They are a very easy proximity pull. They do this frontal cone and they also cast whistle, which gives them a little buff. Snowclops are a side pull and they are your patrol for the lower floors. They have two deadly non-telegraphed attacks. Glower, a thick line AoE, dodge this by being behind them, and the 100 Tones Swing, a point blank AoE. If you are mindful of these attacks, they are not too hard to deal with. The Bandersnatch is sight. They also have a double auto attack called Catching Claws. Make sure that you pull them with sprint and slow them after. Don't corner yourself when kiting them. Make sure that you have a lot of space if you have to pull one. From this set of floor onwards, do your best to take advantage of the donut rooms like this one, if you happen to get one as a starting room or you have a sight or safety up. They help a lot. Bears are sight and they are an easy pick. They just do melee attacks and this frontal cone. Wolves are also sight and they are very dangerous. As machinist you can kill them, but I personally still avoid them unless I really have to. They do a lifesteal attack called Sanguine Bite. This also applies a dot on you. If you don't have a lot of room to kite, they will very likely kill you. I would not mess with them on a gloom, no items, HP down or damage down floor, or even on no sprint floors. Pull to your comfort, and if you can't kite them comfortably, use a witching in case of emergency. Lions are sight and they have a double auto attack called Mark of the Beast. Shortly after they do a point blank AoE. I think they are the least scary double auto enemies in here as they give you time to recover. Wisent are another side pull and they are your new patrol starting at 173. They have a 30-second enrage mechanic. They will pull you in, apply a massive slow and then begin a cast that will very likely kill you. But on Machinist you can interrupt that cast, which makes them an easy target. Be careful pulling them on floors with no abilities, as you will lose your interrupt and you will very likely fail the enrage. The Sasquatches, or apes, are the most annoying enemy in this set of floors, and they also pull by proximity. When not in combat, they will frequently buff themselves and begin to pound their chest, giving you a damage taken increase debuff. Other than that, they have a double auto attack called Browbeat. You can kill them on Machinist, but make sure that you have a lot of room to kite, preferably in a straight line. Be very mindful with them. I would never pull them on a no items, no sprint or no abilities floor. You can get away with pulling them on gloom with a lot of room to kite, but be careful. Use a witching if you have to. The Bird of the Palace is proximity and it is your new patrol starting at 177. They cast this targeted AoE called Revelation. This is a one-shot when solo. They also do this attack called Philo Plumes, which can crit. Shortly after they start casting Tropical Wind. I never interrupt this. It will give them a buff, but it also gives me enough time to kill them without taking much more damage. If you choose not to interrupt but have lower DPS, make sure that you are very careful with the Revelation casts, as they will be faster and they will spam them now. Anzu are sight, and while you can kill one on a Machinist with all your cooldowns, a strength and a skill, I would still say that they are not worth it, and that they are impossible. Every time I pull one by mistake or otherwise, I will use a witching. It's just a lot safer. They are very dangerous because they put a very strong dot on you, and shortly after they use Flying Frenzy, a very hard hitting attack that stuns you and applies a vulnerability up debuff. Very nasty. Always avoid or kill with a witching if you have to. Coeurls are sight and they are pretty easy. They do a frontal cone and they apply a paralysis to you. If you can, chain pull them as the paralysis has a diminishing return. Bonus mention for monster rooms, since they start being very common from this set on. Be extremely careful when dealing with them. If you choose to rage, identify the proximity enemies first and take them out. Body pulling more than one enemy from now on can kill you. You will need strength and steel and 1 lust for this boss. He takes roughly 6 minutes. To make it easier for yourself, place a 1 waymark down at your feet where you spawn in and a 2 waymark down at the purple barrier. Pull him and run slightly anti-clockwise of the 1 marker. He will run to you to cast his cone attack Thunderbolt. Shortly after, he will do his first Char-Diblis cast. This leaves behind a tornado. Be careful as these do a frequent point-blank AoE when they are down. He will cast 2 of these in a row, followed by another Thunderbolt cone. Run to the 1 marker and hug the wall. This way you bait the first trounce outside, giving you a lot of room to breathe. Once he's done with the trounce, he will immediately cast 2 tornadoes in a row, followed by a cone and shortly after a 3rd tornado. Run to the 2 marker and bait the 2nd trounce. Put some distance between you and him and get ready to dodge the thunderbolt. And now you can run clockwise and repeat the pattern. 2 tornadoes, 1 thunderbolt, 1 trounce, and 2 tornadoes, 1 thunderbolt, a 3rd tornado and a trounce. I like doing it this way as he will always run south and then north for his trounces. Adding the numbered waymarks make it so much easier to keep track of the pattern. For cooldowns, I usually get 2 wildfires in, but this will depend on your DPS, which might be lower while you're learning. But as a rule of thumb, if you are under 60%, I hold wildfire, and I start building my gauges and holding reassemble at 35%-ish. At about 22%, you want to make sure you get a fresh pod going, tactician and lust. You have to get all 5 stacks on him. If you time this during one of his trounces, it will be a lot easier. Now you want to use 1 or 2 basic abilities to bring him to 16%. At 16%, stop attacking him and only briefly auto-attack him while spamming the health percentage macro, which is in the pinned comment below. You are looking to be as close to 15% as possible. I always stay at about 15.4-ish, just in case I crit and push him under. He starts his meteor cast at 14%. To make the meteor push, you want to make sure you have everything. The most optimal way to push him is during a trounce, since it's a long animation and it will buy you a lot more time. But as you can see, I didn't do that here. Push him with reassemble drill, followed by your wildfire, and start spending your gauges. At about 50% of the first meteor cast, you want to pop your sustaining potion. As soon as the meteor damage is done, use the macro to remove your food buff, second wind, sustaining potion and super potion. If you've done it right, you will survive the second meteor hit, and you will have until the 3rd cast to kill him. Good luck! Don't be discouraged if you spend a long time on this set of floors. If you want to see the full Behemoth kill without a voiceover, I do have it up on my channel. This boss is very rough, and another thing I would recommend is doing duo runs if you have a friend. I did like 3 duo runs up to Behemoth to practice him, and I find that 2 Machinist doesn't change the formula that much, and it's a lot easier to get there and see the pattern. Familiarity is half the battle with this boss. Well, thank you for watching, I hope this helps you out, and let me know how your climb is going.